Reminder that I was just sitting here kind of planning out the podcast for tomorrow morning. That's going to be at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for you guys. But came across a video that uh, I wanted to address. Uh, I taught self-defense for quite a while in my life, and you have to, teach it in the best way possible. The best way to defend yourself, the best way to protect yourself, especially if you're a male and there is no mutual combat laws, no matter what anybody says. Two states have that, Oregon and Texas, and you'd have to prove that you mutually signed up to fight um, each other in the streets, right? Uh, you can't do that nowadays with cell phones. If you're caught throwing a punch, if you're caught in a scenario where it's not a life and death situation for you, you could ruin your life. You could ruin everything. So, uh, when you see, and we're not going to talk about this much on the podcast because that's not what the podcast is about, but I want to make sure that, I do address it. When you see somebody get hit and it's one hit and done, or maybe their life is in danger. Okay, yeah. Um, if their life is in danger, yeah, you might have to step in and stop that. But you're also putting your life in danger, especially if you throw a punch, if you pull a weapon, anything like that. If you don't know the laws in the state that you live in, you should call the police, walk away, and just make sure that I don't want to say get your camera out and record it, but in the case, and I'm not going to go into the details. All I know is this woman tries to get famous off of you know just a bunch of hate speech from what I've seen, which is unfortunate. Slapping people in the face and then walking away and twerking. Somebody's going to hit back at some point. And so, for those of you guys that stood there and didn't involve yourself for the sake of your own lives and potentially getting tased, or worse by the police should somebody show up, or arrested later because a video caught you, if all of this is true, whatever. We're not going to go into that stuff. We'll spend probably about as much time on that as I am right now. What I am saying is, in teaching self-defense, the first thing that we teach you is to avoid all conflict. If somebody pulls a gun and you can run, run. If somebody pulls a knife, you're not going to fight them with a knife. You're not going to win, even if you have a knife. Even if you studied knife fighting for, a very, very long time. Why? Run. Get out of there. How did you get into the situation in the first place? For all those people that were standing there watching this woman get bricked in the face, whatever, call the cops, walk away, get out of this situation. That is now their situation. Again, if it's life and death, I have to say, I would probably step in. Uh, I don't know all the particulars. There's always three sides to the story: the truth, your side, their side, and the truth, right? But for all these people watching, something must have happened for them to stand there and watch, or they know the laws that only Texas and Washington State have mutual combat agreements. And I'm guessing those two didn't stand there, shake hands, or I'm guessing the person with the brick probably wasn't going to stand around, shake hands with somebody, and then say, okay, let's fight. And I get a brick, right? So keep that in mind, for especially younger guys. I used to be a bouncer in bars in college. Back then we didn't have cell phones that could record everything, but you couldn't just hit people. And the one or two times that I did, I really regret it over taking them down and just waiting for help, waiting for another bouncer, waiting for the police to come, things like that. So think twice about getting in a fight or throwing a punch. And the best thing to do is simply avoid places like that where things like that are going to happen. If You don't want to be in that situation. Don't go out to nightclubs. Don't go out to bars. Don't put yourself around alcohol, drugs, things like that, where people are doing stuff like that. This didn't just happen randomly in a parking lot and 15 people were or 15 guys, whatever. They're saying that people, these men are not men for standing around. If you're standing around watching something happen, maybe somebody deserves something. Right. Obviously, she wasn't beaten to death. She made that very clear. Her first video was complaining about, you know, somebody else, right? When she's able to handle it herself. But anyways, guys, I've been up for a while and I need to get some sleep, but I wanted to ultimately remind you that we've got podcast number 2 for Merc with the Mouth coming up. We'll talk about Disney potentially changing the X-Men's name. Uh, we can all guess why, I'm sure, and maybe it will be good, maybe it won't. Who knows? Um, I may be having an affiliate with a collectibles company start popping up. Who knows? Uh, uh, we'll see if that happens, but it's pretty cool. They've got some uh, cool stuff. Again, this isn't a paid promotion at all, but it might happen. And again, to the, I don't know, over 1,000 people that have subscribed to my channel in the last uh, I don't know, 7 or 8 days. We're over 1,000 people already. That's awesome. My bad. Anyways, uh, let's see. So it would be, just to make sure, tomorrow morning we're gonna do 4:30. Excuse me. Let's do 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I know that's a little early here, Pacific Standard Time. I will push that back. Let's see, Friday, next Tuesday, and do another live giveaway for everybody on PST time or PDT time, Pacific Daylight Time. Again, guys, I just wanted to hop on here and say, after years of self-defense and training and teaching, being certified by the Krav Maga Alliance, get out of the situation. If you don't know what's going on exactly, if you don't know the laws, protect yourself. You don't want to ruin your life. If you throw a punch and you're on camera, you're going to jail. Even if you break up a fight and you're involved, most likely you're going to jail unless a camera can prove that. And generally, the cameras don't go on until after something has happened. So I just wanted to kind of address that. I'm not going to go any further into it than this live video. So at most, uh, we'll talk about it for 5 to 7 minutes. Uh, but again, the people standing around had to have seen something to make them stand around. Otherwise it's people's inclination to intervene if something happens. So uh, whether or not it was deserved, I'm not ever saying hit somebody in the face with a brick, ever. That's crazy. I'm not going to say the person's name on here. I'm not going to show any videos of that stuff. I'm not going to break anything down like that. I'm just talking about personal experience from teaching self-defense, being a bouncer in real life, have been in fights, real fights, not signing up and getting in the ring, um, like real nasty fights. You just walk away. Why are we in that situation in the first place? Get out of there. Don't put yourself in that situation if you don't want to see that kind of stuff and potentially be uh, uh, called whatever they're calling these guys for, standing around and not doing anything. Again, for those of you guys that stood there and didn't do anything, it was probably a good call. You probably would have ended up in jail in a lawsuit with this woman, as I mean, her videos are of her going around and hitting people, promoting violence. So promote nonviolence, again, unless somebody's life is in danger. But again, you still have to risk yours to potentially, you know, uh, save theirs. So you have to weigh those options. I know that sounds crude, but that's life, right? So Know the laws. There's no mutual combat law. Honestly, if two people put their hands on each other, they're going to jail. And more than likely, if one is a woman, you're a man, you're 100% going to jail, and they might not. Most of the time, though, both people are going to jail. That's it. So don't interfere if you don't want to be involved. Some camera is going to catch everything. Other than that, guys, we'll do another podcast. Like I said, we're not going to go over any video. I'm not going to say the person's name. I'm not going to talk about anybody involved. I'm going to talk about it from a personal aspect of training and teaching self-defense for multiple years, fighting Muay Thai, being in actual fights, not in the ring, multiple people versus myself, uh, bouncer situations in bars. We'll go over some real world scenarios where you either choose to get in it and you take the risk of being arrested and catching charges, and it changing your life completely, or uh, you don't and you just stay out of that situation. And generally, those situations are around nightclubs, nightlife, alcohol, things like that. If you want to avoid that stuff, just stay out of there, and you won't see that kind of stuff, and you'll be a bystander here giving your opinion, right? We don't know the whole story. Their side, uh, or her side, everybody else's side, the guy's side, and the truth. Really, four here. We now have kind of the media's, uh, I guess, truth as well in this day. So there's the real truth, her truth, his truth, and everybody else's truth that you're hearing out there. Again, I'm coming to you from teaching self-defense. Get out of the situation. Like, if there's a fight and you don't want to mess up your life potentially, get out of the situation. Just leave. Get out of the situation. With that said, always be prepared. Learn to fight. Train to fight. Condition yourself so your cortisol levels are high. You're able to fight for your life if you need to. If you're in a state and you're comfortable carrying a weapon, I am all for that. Make sure you train with that weapon and become efficient with it before carrying it anywhere else. Just saying that. But that's it. When we do go live or do go again, the podcast, 5 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Friday. That would be 2 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, um, coming up tomorrow morning. We'll see you guys then. Thank you for subscribing. We won't talk about that much. We'll just talk about personal opinion again from a teaching a self-defense standpoint and being in fights and preserving your own, I guess, welfare in situations like that. You can agree, disagree. I'm just coming to you from a point of view of a self-defense instructor and having to, know the laws when, giving specific situations. I'll see you guys then, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday morning. Thanks, Mercs. We'll talk to you soon.